to the Constitution of India, as we all know, promises to secure to its citizens, all its citizens, justice, social, economic, irrespective of caste, creed, sex, and gender. While improvement in the status of women was a pledge made by the constitutional makers and admitted by the government from the very beginning as one of the major tasks facing the country, various new problems relating to the advancement of women, which has not been visualized by the constitutional makers and the government in its earlier days, have emerged. The government of India therefore felt that a comprehensive examination of all questions relating to the rights and status of women in this country would provide useful guidelines for the formulation of social policies. For this purpose, it constituted a committee on the status of women by a resolution of the Ministry of Education and Social Welfare in 1971. The committee had two tasks, very important tasks. One was to examine the constitutional, legal, and administrative provisions that have a bearing on the social status of women and their education and employment. And second was to assess the impact of these provisions. The committee in 1974-75 came with a very comprehensive document known as Towards Equality Report. So this document, a very comprehensive document, is said to lay the foundation of women's movement in independent India, which highlighted a different discriminatory socio-cultural practices and economic process, political and economic processes. The committee concluded that there was an increase in the marginalization of women in the economy and society, and this report found demographic trends of declining sex ratio, disparities in the life expectancy, and death rates between men and women, and the difficulties involved in women's access to literacy, education, and livelihood. It was of the view that the Indian state had failed in its constitutional responsibilities of gender equality. The findings of the report reopened the women's question for government, academia, and women's organizations. Then we had again a commission in 2013, and the Commission on Status of Women, CSW 57, which took part in the United Nations headquarters, and the committee had a mandate to undertake a very comprehensive study on the status of women since 1989 and to evaluate appropriate policy interventions based on contemporary assessment of women's economic, legal, political, education, health, and social cultural needs. But it was found very unfortunately that throughout the decades, despite significant progress, gender inequalities persist in all areas of social and economic life. The discrimination embedded in social institutions, laws, social norms, and practices is a key driver of this inequality, perpetuating gender gaps in education, employment, and health, and hindering progress towards right-based social transformation. These particular forms of discrimination is often invisible, yet failing to address discriminatory laws, attitudes, and stereotypes restrict the ability of women and girls to contribute to society and economy. Discriminatory social norms and gender stereotypes limit our ability, professional agency, and it of course paralyzes a woman's mental capability. Policymakers have been paying increased attention to these hidden and deep-rooted barriers to women empowerment. If we take a case of education, education has been or is a very important tool for development in any country. There was a large network of traditional institutions. There is, of course, a large network of educational institutions across our country. Yet, huge number of percentage of girls and women are illiterate, constituting probably the largest number of illiterate women and girls across the world.
So it's really an honor and a pleasure for me to be a part of this very important event titled as Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, and then an empirical investigation of its impact and reach in the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. Regarding this title, this seems to be very important and interested for me as an individual, because the project coordinators who have been a part of this project, Dr. Umar Farooq and Dr. Malia, I think they are here. So I have worked with them during my short tenure as a director of North Camps, and I have always found them very highly talented people. Dr. Malia is from management and Dr. Umar is from computer science. That is, you can see that how we can now integrate various subjects in one go. And that is actually a new education policy 2020. That if you are doing one discipline, but nobody can stop you in doing a research in the other discipline. And particularly, since a good number of officers are here from the government, means that they have been a part of team, or they have been, you have facilitated this project in one way or the other. Because you would have definitely got some results. Because when you talk about the project, whether it is a short tenure project or a long tenure project, but it is a project. Project means that you have done some analysis, and that analysis is done on the basis of some data. It means that you have got that data. So I will not go to the details because I am not an expert guy here to see that where from the data has come. But of course, some computational models would have definitely been used in analyzing that data. And there are some managerial skills must have been used in analyzing that data. And then you would have come with some results, because you are going to discuss the empirical investigation of its impact and a reach out for this Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao. Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao is not a new slogan to any one of us. We have been right from our childhood, we have been always learning this slogan. But I don't know to what extent it is really implemented. And I think we have sociological experts here, we have other experts here, so definitely you would have definitely got some kind of a conclusion that to what extent it is really implemented in J&K, and then what have been the analysis impact of this in this Union Territory. I would request particularly the organizers and the coordinators of this project that they would have definitely come up with some report. And that report should come up in the public domain.
We have submitted report actually.
Because unless and until that report doesn't go to the public domain, particularly to the government, then it doesn't make any sense. So happy to know that you have submitted that. That is good. But meanwhile, you can just give a synopsis of that what have been the findings of this report.
Yeah, that's there.
Because that will help not only to we people, but in fact it should, I don't know whether you should make it in fact a public, because you have done a good analysis.
About say few years before, I used to see a documentary, हुई बेटी तो मातम छाया, हुआ बेटा तो ढोल बजा. That concept is gone. Maybe now the things will change other way around. And who are the biggest culprits? I am open to say it. When Madam was saying it, I was just analyzing that why this concept came. Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao. Other way around, Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao. So sometimes I was thinking, no, they should have written Beti Padhao, and automatically Beti would be saved from all the evils and all the shortcomings what she is feeling. And who is responsible? It's we, males. Why? Because we do not give them time to study. I, being male, after doing my bachelor's, I got job at NIT. After my bachelor's, I got to go for a master's in IIT Delhi. I got chance to complete my PhD. How? When my wife supported me. She did the all household activities, only then I could do it. But let's talk other way around. If males also start giving support to the females, I think they can excel a lot. Who is going to lay the foundation stone of our future generation? We have to think in this way. If we want a bright future ahead, we need to educate more and more to our females, because they are going to be our future.
The purpose of this project is basically that ICCR wants to send these findings off, because these projects have been commissioned in every state of India under different themes. So basically ICSR will consolidate all the findings and will send to the relevant ministries, and the ministries will send it to the PMOs, because probably the government of India is thinking of revising these schemes as per the input on the ground. So the project was commissioned on September 11. In October, we worked on the research instruments. We prepared all the interview schedules, went to schools and different stakeholders. While we refined our instruments. In fact, I think we'd especially like to thank Dr. Mukhtar, who is DSW Srinagar, with whom we shared our quantitative research instrument, and he very much helped us with his feedback, and we refined it accordingly.
The quantitative study was conducted as a primary survey with the primary target segment of Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, which is basically the again the primary target segment comprises of lactating women, and the primary target segment also comprises of pregnant mothers, young women, adolescents, and the young parents. Now, how did we do the sampling of this entire project? We call this as basically a stratified, stage-wise stratified random sampling. And the criteria that we used is that out of the 20 districts in J&K, we concentrated on those 6 districts which have the lowest CSR across J&K. Now, the lowest CSR districts as per census 2011 are in Jammu, which has a CSR of 795 only, Samba 779, Kathua 831, Kashmir Badgam has a CSR of 832, Pulwama has a CSR of 829, and Anantnag has a CSR of 841. So this is our primary rationale for picking up these 6 districts across J&K. So once we understand that, so now I have to tell you that how did the sampling happen. So the first stage of sampling is the division-wise sampling, which means we divide J&K into Jammu and Kashmir divisions. Now, based on the population of Jammu and based on the population of Kashmir, our sample size of 2000 was divided into 1100 for Kashmir and 900 for Jammu. So this is basically just a sample which is directly proportional to the population of these 2 divisions. Now, at the stage 2 of the sampling, we again picked up the sample of, say, for example, 1100 from Kashmir and proportioned it into the population of Anantnag, Pulwama, and Badgam. and similarly proportioned it into the population of Jammu, Samba and Kathua.